Tough competition expected as the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations enters the knockout phase. We'll bring you the latest from Gabon. Hello and a very warm welcome to this week's edition of the African Sports Program here on CGTN. This is Matchpoint, bringing you all things African sport, both from the continent and beyond. I'm Mahia Muto. It's great to have you joining us. Also coming up in the next half hour, Zimbabwe tightened the screws to ensure transparency and accountability in sports. And South Africa's Zulu boy eyes the big stage in mixed martial arts. Of course, we begin at the Africa Cup of Nations in Gabon. Let's get you an update now from the first quarterfinal of the day, where Burkina Faso were paired with Tunisia. The two sides were in action at the Stade de l'Amitié in the capital Libreville. Neither side was able to break the deadlock after the first half of football, but in the end, Burkina Faso are through to the semi-finals. That's courtesy of two goals from the West Africans. In the 81st minute, Aristide Bonse finding the back of the net before Préjus Nakulma added a second in the 85th minute, meaning that the Stallions are the first team through to the semi-finals, while Tunisia will be going home. So in recap, 2-0 to Burkina Faso, which are the first team through to the semi-finals at the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations. Well, we can now get you more updates on the ongoing tournament. We can now go live to Libreville, Gabon, where Celestine Caronet is standing by for us. Celestine, as we've heard there, the first quarterfinal match is now over. We're looking forward to the next tie, which is Senegal against Cameroon. Should we expect any surprises there?
Well, Mahia, just a bit of an update here from the Burkina Faso versus Tunisia match. A lot of rowdy fans around us right about now. They're heading home. They're very excited that Burkina Faso won this particular match. Remember, Burkina Faso enjoys a lot of support here in Gabon. They say they feel like they are closer to them, and so they had quite a number of fans here supporting them, Mahia. So there's a lot of noise around us right now. But moving on, of course, Mahia, to the second quarterfinal match later today, Senegal versus Cameroon. This is historically heavyweights, if you would like, of African football. You look at a Senegal side led by Aliou Cisse, who says he has unfinished business with the Cup of Nations. Why does he have unfinished business with the Cup of Nations? This is because in 2002, Senegal reached the final and they played Cameroon in that final, but they lost to penalties. They lost to Cameroon on penalties. And Aliou Cisse was the captain, and he missed a crucial penalty that would have gotten Senegal their first trophy. So Aliou Cisse is telling his boys, look, you must not make the same mistakes we did. Be clinical. If you can, wrap up that match in 90 minutes, because when you look at the Senegal side of today, this is a Senegal side that has so many big names, the likes of Sadio Mane for Liverpool. They are leading the attack. And so there is a lot of expectation that Senegal could actually pull this off, because you're looking at a Cameroon side, Mahia, which has is actually one of the not very strong sides assembled in recent past. When you look at the history of Cameroon, the Indomitable Lions last won that trophy 15 years ago in 2002. And so there's a bit of expectation that if Senegal win, it will not be that they have upset Cameroon, considering they have 5 wins out of Cameroon's 4 against Cameroon. And so you're looking at a situation where if Cameroon actually win, then they will have been the ones who have caused an upset, because Senegal came into this competition as the best ranked team. So Mahia, really looking at it, 50-50, anybody's game. It is actually about taking your chances, like we've seen with Burkina Faso, to get to that semi-final, Mahia.
Now, Celeste, it may not sound like it. It sounds like you're surrounded by plenty of fans, but there were some concerns that the stadia would be empty. Is it because the home team exited early?
Well, actually, Mahia, while I am surrounded by, there are a lot of fans here making their way home, these fans did not even make a dent when you look at the 40,000-seater capacity stadium at Stade Lamitié. Yes, of course there have been concerns, Mahia, about attendance, and not just attendance. There have also been concerns about the quality of the pitch, the surface, playing surface in OEM, in Port-Gentil. But CAF, speaking yesterday at a press conference, actually said that this concern will not overshadow the competition, Mahia. Let's listen. All to the stadium, a rallying call printed across Gabon's capital, Libreville, urging fans to head to marches. 15 days into the competition, organizers have had to endure questions about empty seats at stadiums. François Medok-Ponu, who has been attending matches in Libreville, explains why some fans have stayed away.
People do not have money to spend on football, so this year there hasn't been as many people at the stadium as it was in 2012 because of the harsh economic climate.
In a bid to encourage match attendance, the organizers have set the ticket prices considerably lower than the 2012 edition. Still, this hasn't brought fans to the stadium. CAF say that at least 17,000 people attended the group stages, with some 20,000 capacity stadiums experiencing more than half its capacity. They say the lack of full crowds at stadiums is not an indication of apathy towards this competition by the Gabonese people, and that the early exit of the hosts will not affect the knockout stages. On the business end, however, some admit this edition isn't as lucrative. Kosu Nene has been forced to slash prices just to get more people to buy Gabonese football merchandise.
In 2012, we were hosting the competition for the very first time, so there was a lot of excitement. This edition, however, comes on the backdrop of a not-so-pretty election, and also it doesn't help that the national team was eliminated early. So yes, business has been slow.
I cannot give you a clear figure like it was given a week ago, saying that, okay, Euro in France brought in 1.2 billion euros in French economy. We don't have such a benchmark, so there is an impact, definitively. You may have some people who are not acknowledging the impact. Maybe the expectations were so high.
Beyond the spectator worries, there have also been concerns about the state of the OEM and Port-Gentil pitches, which some coaches claim have been the cause of a number of injuries.
It has been clearly expressed prior to this tournament that the Port-Gentil pitch was a matter of concern. Thanks God, we have 4 days for that pitch to rest and to have the necessary care, and we do hope to have a better one for the quarterfinal.
To many fans, however, the issues around the competition do not concern them. All they care about is that the team carries the day as Africa awaits the crowning of a new continental champion. Celestine Carone, CGTN, Libreville, Gabon.
Celestine Carone reporting there from Libreville. She's still live with us from the Gabon capital next to the Stade de l'Amitié. Celestine, 2 matches today. What can we expect in tomorrow's action?
Well, still another set of quarterfinals, of course. Mahia, we have the famous Maghreb derby, Egypt versus Morocco. Haverena is looking at history here. He's trying to take a third African country to win the title, the Cup of Nations, after he did that with Zambia, and the defending champions were out of the competition, Cote d'Ivoire. Egypt, of course, coming back to the competition for the first time since they last won a hat-trick of competitions, Mahia, and there's a lot of expectation that this is an Egypt side that looks a bit different from the fast-flowing, fast-paced kind of football we expect from Egypt. They have become a more technical. This is an Egyptian side that has not conceded a goal in this competition, so they'll be very difficult to break down. So that Maghreb derby is one match that many people here will be really excited to see how it plays out. And then, again, there's a lot of interest in the DR Congo versus Ghana match. This is because first DR Congo is considered a Central African side, so there'll be a lot of support for DR Congo. Remember, these two, DR Congo and Ghana, did reach the semi-finals in 2015, and so both of them will be looking to see if they can actually make something out of this particular quarterfinal. There is a bit of concern coming out of the Ghanaian camp, however. Asamoah Gyan, the captain, suffered an injury in their loss against Egypt, their final group stage match. And so there's a bit of talk that maybe he might not be fit for the match. but Ghana is still playing that particular card close to their chest. They are just saying it wasn't a serious injury, so we will wait for that news to come through probably tomorrow here. But of course, 2 more games to go in the quarterfinals, a lot of excitement to come.
Indeed, Celestine, a feast of football for you there in Gabon. Do enjoy the action. And Celestine will, of course, continue to be reporting for us from Gabon. That was CGTN Celestine Caronet live in Libreville, Gabon, next to the Stade de l'Amitié. Well, let's look back to one team that has left now. Uganda may have been eliminated from the 2017 Cup of Nations group stage, but optimism still remains even among the country's football legends of the potential in the team. The Cranes made their first appearance at the continental competition in close to 40 years and ended their campaign without a win. Leon Senyange now reports.
It has been a long wait for Tom Lwanga to see another Ugandan football team at the Africa Cup of Nations. He was a central defender in the side that played against Ghana in the 1978 final. But the memories are still fresh for him.
We had a very competitive national league in Uganda. Then plus the regional tournament, the Eastern Central Africa countries playing. We called it Challenge Cup. Then we used to play with Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania, very strong teams. I think that contributed a lot to our going to the AFCON in 76 and 78.
39 years later, he has watched his country play at Africa's biggest football tournament. 2 defeats have sent Uganda out of the competition. While his generation made the final, he is at least pleased with the team's performance in Gabon.
Uganda played very well, I'm sure. Although we are the underdogs because it took us so many years before we qualified. Some of these teams had a lot of experience, having played in the Africa Cup of Nations for quite some number of times.
Even with an early exit, not all hope should be lost, he says. After all, there is another chance to compete at the 2019 edition.
Fortunately, we have a crop of young players who participated in this ongoing AFCON. They have learnt a lot. You know, individually, everybody learns his way. And I'm sure, God willing, we might go back, because I saw the group we have, Cape Verde, Lesotho and Tanzania. We might go back in 2019, and I'm sure we might make it. That's the way we did it. In 76 we participated, we didn't do well, went back, did our homework well, and we reached the finals in 78.
The memories of the 1978 Africa Cup of Nations may have been well shelved now. For many Ugandans, playing at this year's edition could have offered a new beginning, but also a belief that after a few more participations, Uganda could one day, one time, be African champions. Leon Senyange, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
Now, despite the result, the team arrived back home to a heroic welcome despite being the first team eliminated. As you heard there, East Africa's only representative at the tournament found themselves as underdogs, battling it out with Africa's football giants in Group D. The Cranes, who were participating in the tournament for the first time in 39 years, lost 2 matches against Ghana and Egypt by a 1-0 scoreline. Their last group match against Mali then ended in a 1-1 draw. The team was surprised by a cheering crowd of fans who waited at the airport to cheer their stars late into the night. The Cranes were voted Africa's best team at last year's Confederation of African Football Awards. The team coach says their focus is now on the World Cup qualifications and the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers.
Great experience for us after 39 years. 3 matches. It is not easy to bring the Uganda Cranes to the position that no matter of the name of the team on the continent, we can play with any team for 1 ball to decide in ours or their favor. Now, this inject us, Uganda Cranes, with the confidence, with something what I have never seen in my life. You are going out of competition, people are receiving you like this.
right now. Let's look ahead to the three teams still remaining in the competition. As we told you earlier, Burkina Faso are already through as the first semi-finalists in the competition. But let's look at the head-to-head comparisons of the other quarter-finalists. Of course, the other match today is Egypt against Morocco. Egypt's current FIFA ranking is 35, while Morocco are significantly lower at 57. Now, between the two teams, of all the three, or rather four quarter-final matches, this is the biggest gap in ranking difference. They have had 26 previous meetings between them. Egypt, though, have 2 wins in those, while Morocco have a significantly larger number with 13 wins and 11 draws between them. Moving ahead to tomorrow's matches, Senegal against Cameroon. Senegal are currently ranked 33rd, while Cameroon are 57th. Previous meetings, 12 between them. Senegal wins 5, Cameroon 3 wins, and they have 4 draws between them. And the final match, the second match on Sunday, will be DR Congo against the Black Stars of Ghana. DR Congo are currently ranked 49th, with Ghana in 54th position. This is the closest gap between any of the quarterfinal teams. Previous meetings between them, 19. DR Congo, of course, winning just 4 matches. Ghana with a bigger margin of wins at 10, and they have had 5 draws between them. Well, it's time for us to now take a quick break. You're still watching Match Point. Here's what's coming up. Zimbabwe tightened the screws to ensure transparency and accountability in sport.
Agenda 2063 cannot move without the people.
Your stories.
Welcome to Africa Live. President and the minister said a whole lot of things last year, but we need to actually see those things happening.
Your views.
One way to get us out of that poverty is give free education to all girls who cannot afford to pay.
Your voice.
We hope that we can get back on.
Africa Live. We've got you covered.
Welcome back. Now, Zimbabwe is tightening the screws on compliance to deal with governance and performance issues in sport and recreation. Over the years, the country has been marred by various scandals in sport that have affected the quality in many disciplines.
The Zimbabwe Sport and Recreation Commission, together with the country's sports ministry, are proposing tough measures to ensure good governance compliance by sports federations. The country aims to slam brakes on increasing cases of match fixing, particularly in football. It has been a tough process for the ministry that's been battling insufficient funding and poor marketing strategy.
We are prepared as government for 2017 to suspend a few associations that are delinquent. Take this seriously, because it will visit you if you don't do things properly. We are prepared to be suspended as a country by the International Confederation in order to realize the best value of organization in the sport and recreational sector in our country.
The ministry recently held its first National Sport and Recreation Governance Conference to discuss, among others, effective leadership, transparency and accountability in sports. Last year, 7 federations were sanctioned for non-compliance, with 4 others placed under watch list. Zimbabwe has been rocked by match-fixing allegations over the past 6 years, with up to 85 players and officials blamed for the vice. Leslie Murungu, CGTN.
Now to athletics, where Usain Bolt has spoken out following the decision from the IAAF to strip the Jamaican of his 2008 Beijing Olympic 4x100 meter relay gold. Earlier this week, track and field's governing body revealed that teammate Nesta Carter tested positive for a banned substance after a sample review, prompting them to revoke all medals from the team. The Beijing Games were the moment Bolt broke through as an international star, with the relay title one of 3 top-placed podium finishes. Carter's sample was one of 454 retested from 8 years ago, with 32 coming back containing traces of performance-enhancing drugs since the re-evaluation. The decision is subject to appeal, but whatever the outcome, the now 8-time Olympic gold medalist thinks his legacy will not be affected.
I've worked hard over the years. I've shown my dominance throughout the year. I think by losing one medal, that shouldn't be a problem, you understand, because I've done individual events and I've won archery in the 3 Olympics, so it's a relay, so what can I say? Well, I haven't seen Nesta in a while, but I hope he's not blaming himself too much about this. It's just one of those things that happen in life, I guess. So I have to just wait and see what happens.
Well, staying with matters speed, this time mechanical, the Manor Formula One team folded on Friday after going into administration and failing to find a buyer. That leaves the sport with just 10 teams just 2 months before the start of the new season in Australia. All but a handful of the team's 212 staff who were sent home on Friday will be made redundant next week. The British-based team, which finished last in the 2016 championship, went into administration on January the 6th. The news came only days after the sport changed hands, with US-based Liberty Media completing a takeover and replacing the sport's 86-year-old commercial supremo, Bernie Ecclestone, with Chase Carey. We're taking another short break, but don't go anywhere. Here's what's coming up. South Africa's Zulu boy eyes big stage in the mixed martial arts.
Africa, where champions are made, records are broken, legends are born. We're there for every goal, for every knockout, for every step of the way. Match Point, only on CGTN.
Africa is not one story.
Welcome back. Now, South Africa is full of mixed martial artists who continually overcome the odds to pursue their passion for the sport. One of those athletes is Nkazimulo Zulu Boy Zulu, who has gone from living in abject poverty to now making a living from fighting. And after an appearance on The Ultimate Fighter in Las Vegas, Zulu Boy could well be heading for a contract with the UFC, as CS Duplessis now reports.
Nkazimulo Zulu is one of the brightest MMA talents on the African continent, but it hasn't been an easy road for the fearless striker to the EFC flyweight title, and the softly spoken 27-year-old recalls how growing up in an informal settlement in KwaZulu-Natal meant he had to fight his way out of trouble on many occasions.
Yeah, I was just fighting because, you know, bigger boys, they used to let us fight for nothing, and you had to survive, and that's why. It makes me tough somehow, but I'm not sure. But I think what makes me tough now is through school of life, you know.
The Ultimate Fighter contestant continues to balance work as a mechanic by day with his career as a professional athlete, and says it is often exhausting trying to maintain the balancing act while preparing to defend his title next month.
During the day, I'm just working so hard, you know, picking up those engines. Fixing cars is not an easy job too. And then after that job, you're exhausted and you're tired, you're gonna have to go and train. It is very hard to keep it balanced.
The explosive finisher believes that his destiny is with the UFC in the USA, and that his achievements will inspire young talented fighters to follow in his footsteps.
In a few years' time, I want to see myself be a UFC champion. I want to see myself growing as a mixed martial art and then helping other people that wants to be fighters and then show them the way how to become a fighter.
There is an abundance of MMA talent in South Africa, but unearthing those fighting gems remains the sport's biggest challenge. And it is fighters like Nkazimulo Zulu who have overcome major obstacles and are forging ahead to pave the way for those MMA diamonds that may be still lying in the rough. CS Du Plessis, CGTN, Johannesburg.
Finally, India's blind cricketers say that Pakistan's squad is going to be their toughest opponents as they gear up for the Blind Cricket World Cup T20 in New Delhi. Head coach Patrick Rajkumar was speaking in the Indian capital ahead of the tournament's kickoff on Sunday. The matches get started on Monday with the defending champions India taking on Bangladesh. Teams of Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, England, Australia, West Indies, South Africa and New Zealand, apart from the hosts, will be participating in this year's tournament. The team geared up for the tournament by handing out books to the less fortunate, but will remain focused on retaining their trophy on home soil.
The toughest opponent would be the Pakistan team because they have been our opponents in all the three versions of the game finals. But along with them, we also look at England and Sri Lanka as another upcoming team.
अगर स्कोर बड़ा हो या छोटा हो,
Even if the score is big or small, what do we have to do? We have to play cricket. When we won the World Cup in South Africa in the first 40 overs, we had to chase 389 runs. If we had just thought of it like that, we would have lost. So what did we do? We just played cricket. You just score runs and keep on playing cricket.
that is वो ऐसा hope होना चाहिए.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of Matchpoint. Thank you very much for watching. Do remember, we'd love to hear from you. You can send your feedback to the contacts on your screen right now and follow us on our digital media platforms. Thanks for watching once again. I'm Mahe Mutwa. We'll leave you with images from different parts of Libreville reflecting the mood at the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations.